Alright. We're live with some Sythis, the Harvest Hand, an Enchantress-based card. Enchantress is a strategy, basically refers to a bunch of enchantments and then drawing cards with cards like Enchantress's Presence or similar cards thereof. Mainly Sythis being one. She's an enchantment herself, and then whenever you cast an enchantment spell, gain a life, draw a card. Similarly, you have things like Enchantress's Presence that says whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. You have Sythis Champion, whenever enchantment you control enters, put +1/+1 counter on this creature, draw a card. You're going to see a whole lot of card drawing. Unfortunately, the one thing with Enchantress decks is they do tend to be very slow to develop and can often be run over before they can get the ball completely rolling. Beyond that, you're going to run a bunch of disruption things, trying to get ahead. So you're using things like burgeoning and exploration to try to hit your land drops ahead of time. Utopia Sprawl and all the other 1-drops to cast your things ahead of time. And then you're using different things to keep your opponent, Authority of the Councils to keep hasty stuff and slow them down. Different removal spells like Baffling and Ossification. And then you kind of ramp into your endgame, which includes things like Mirari's Wake, Karametra to get a bunch of lands, Sigil on the Empty Throne's one of your best finishers in terms of getting a bunch of angels, and then Hallowed Haunting also I believe is a huge finisher. As long as you control 7 or more enchantments, creatures you control have Flying Vigilance. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a white Spirit Cleric creature token with this power and toughness equal to the number of spirits you control. And see how that can get out of hand really quickly. So, that said, we'll see how this does. Unfortunately, Sythis, I think, is considered a Hell Q commander, so you do tend to play against a lot of the higher end commanders in Brawl. I've played 2 matches so far with the deck, and unfortunately kind of lost both of them. So, we will see how this goes. And we have a new camera we're trying to tweak with, and holy moly does it get dark sometimes on here. We're on the draw, so Gemstone Cavern doesn't do much. I feel like an Attracts deck would probably want to go a little faster, so we'll try this one. Use that. Birds of Paradise. Exploration. Play that. Play that. Play that. Kind Naturalist. Probably should have played Sythis first before playing Authority of the Councils. Play Sythis. Of course, they probably have Memory Lapse. Great Oromancy. Have an extremely explosive start, but not a whole lot going on with it, so. Put up for 3. That shocks in, so Clockmaker, sure. Drive the Elysian Groves, draw a card. Gets to scry 1 here. Leaves it on top. That's somewhat terrifying. Oh, Supreme Verdict, shocker. So we have to go over Greater Oromancy here. In this instance, I'm taking out Skyclave because they just give us back a 2/2 instead of Oromancy. If they have a 7th land, they just get to attract us this turn. Elvish Norn. Oh, fantastic. Pretty much shuts down our entire deck. Most of the enchantments are permanent enters a triggered ability. We're just going to get buried at this point, so moving on. And this is the danger of playing a Hell-Q commander. You're going to play against a bunch of really good decks real quick. And if you aren't drawing at the top end of your deck or have your deck tuned the right way, it kind of get punished a little bit. Huh? What? Nothing. Just seeing if you were right. This scene is a little slower. Work against Kafka. Discards a card, sacrifices a permanent. Don't know that we want to be the reactive deck in this one. We kind of want to be the. Try this. Cast creature spell, gains haste. So force my opponent to use a counter spell if they have one. Chance this bites counter spell. Or if they have a removal spell, they might just kill it. Okay, so we got all the mana we could need. Kefka gets to do stupid things. Okay. Now, obviously, I pretty much die to one Wrath effect, but none of our opponent's soft permission spells will work because of the... Okay, they cast Lightning Bolt and concede. Interesting. Obviously, the Avatar series from, I guess, Nickelodeon. I don't remember what the actual animation studio for it's been released. Calyx, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. May create a copy of a non-legendary enchantment. Do this once per turn. This hand seems really soft to a removal spell. I think we'll try it because we have the acceleration, but Rafine can go a couple of different ways, so it can be a Reanimator deck, can be a good creature value, good stuff deck. Yeah, a Spell Pierce? Of course they do. See if they feel the need to counter that. Interesting. Okay. Fairy Mastermind is going to be complicated for us to deal with. Because whenever opponent draws your second card each turn, you draw a card. When we're a deck that's trying to actively draw a bunch of cards. We'll get to draw a card, which is unfortunate, but okay, that's a 3/4. Sure. See, I feel like they're going to have to double up on Cecil here, aren't they? How does this one work? You deal damage. You lose that much life if you're left. Untap Cecil and transform. Okay, can you overcome a bunch of angels? Okay, who are you going to double up on? Alright, and they've decided they cannot beat the current course of things. Alright, we're up against Ral Crackling Wit, which means probably some type of storm deck. I think we can do better than this hand. Exploration is reasonable enough on its own. Birds of Paradise a little past its prime there. Let's play Ghostly Prison out. Not that it's the best against what they're doing, but feels like they're holding up wipe away. Guess we'll go ahead and play into it here. Spellster, so we aren't getting around everything either which way. Frantic Search. Interesting that they would throw away Endwalker and Brainstorm and Peak there. Okay. How many counter spells do you have? Apparently all of them. Okay, so there's Ral. And the Arcane Signet. Nope. Pretty sweet art on the Arcane Signet, though.
say hi to the chat.
Why won't I?
I don't know, it doesn't come up for me. It says chat live, and then it doesn't give me the box to chat, so I can't say hi.
Hmm. Do you have another spell they can cast here, or are they just keeping it alive? Oh yeah, we're not beating this nonsense. It's one of the things about Brawl. It's with a blessing and a curse is the fact that you can use planeswalkers that aren't normally able to be used commanders and commander as your commander. So things like that can't readily be available. I don't think Ral Crackling Wit is an available commander. We're up against Flage. Go ahead and keep this one. Hopefully they don't have a Ragavan turn one, which doesn't look like they do. I think we'll keep a Birds of Paradise. Obviously, it could die very easily. We'll play Birds. Play Authority of the Consuls. Mana Tithe. Alright. I think we'll play Spirited Companion, looking for a 4th land next turn. Not quite the 4th land we were hoping for, but do you have a Bolt or something here? Of course you do. No, Path to Exile. So they have a fetch land. I don't think they can bring back Flage here. They have Get Lost. Okay, so all the removal spells. Got it. The 2/2 creature control attacking causes triggered ability. And I'm going to copy that. Firebending one. Sure. Sythis. That's this for 4. All right. Other spiders you control have Riot. Land. Heliod. Exploration trigger. Destiny Spinner. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Couldn't block Flage just to not die to some random nonsense. Okay. For some reason I keep thinking Sythis has. Sure, turn that to the command zone. Enchantress's presence. Okay, so they bring back a land. Guess they realized they were just too far behind. Something I should say at times. Wow. New achievement. Ooh, shiny. Achievements. Color mastery. Green. Control 12 or more artifacts or enchantments at the beginning of your end step. Nice. Alright. Eventually we'll get a match. I think that matchup really kind of sums up what Enchantress is trying to do in terms of just drawing a bunch of cards, weathering the early storm, and then kind of overpowering by just drawing too much for the opponent to deal with. Castrol the Wind Crested. One or more birds you control. Damage to a player. So, okay, looks like we're up against blue-white aggro. Bird is the word. Does look like it. Surprisingly, our opponent leads off with a bird. Can I get a bird, bird, bird? Bird is the word. Up on a bird, bird, bird. Could play Sythis, but I feel like our opponent's holding up counter magic. Okay, let's force you to run out of counter spell. Shocker. There's counter spell. Try, but I feel like we have a they got a burb. Okay, let's jam their commander here and do something else. I feel like they need to deal with Sythis if they can. Instead, it looks like they're going for the cast non-computer spells is that they had flash. Just come out to highest target player's library and cast a spell you don't own. I feel like we want to get rid of that one. But a bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. But a bird, bird, bird. This for some. Favorable ones. Okay. White. Calyx guarded by. That is actively kind of annoying. Okay. Going to bed, huh?
Can't talk to him, but
I just said I didn't think it'd be wise. Turn Innocence. Okay, thinking that's from our deck. Go ahead and activate the Sterling Grove. It's a Tessin Champion. Opponent's likely trying to hold up counter spells for Sphere of Safety. Opponent cannot let that one resolve. Bless you. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Do you get a flyer or bird? Looks like you do not.
It's big. That's just trying to see right this time.
Opponent gets to heist us. It's the heist of the century. Does that just leave you dead on board? Apparently it does. Yeah, kinda had fun. I won. We'll go ahead and play one more match. This has been... Enchantress decks are always interesting to kind of toy around with. Yeah, this hand seems okay. We're on the draw, which does kind of suck, but we'll able to go Utopia Sprawl into Sythis plus Alcide. Okay, so you have Spell Pierce? Of course they do. We'll go with green. Sure, they get to brainstorm. Whole lot of blue mana, sure. I assume they have Wash Away up, but we have to go for it here, so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, force of negation. Okay, well that's kind of unfortunate. Sure, looks like they're really going all in trying to flip that. Burgeoning. Start the slow beatdown plan. Good, deal with that one. This creature for each creature up to one other target. That's admittedly very annoying. The heck? Okay, opponent's going to use a treasure map to sack, it looks like. Hopefully they'll block with Rusko here. Discard Lionel Elves. Okay. Don't know if we're going to be able to brute force us our way through this or not. Opponent gets to go off. Probably gotta take Howled Haunting there. Okay. Overlord of the Hauntwoods. What a crazy last game. Alright, let's go ahead and call that a game. I mean, Sythis, we had some interesting games there. It draws a lot of cards, tries to find answers, tries to buy time. You know, you do have some ways to protect your things, like Grid Oromancy and Sterling Grove, but notably they both cause Shroud, which does make Calyx a bit awkward, having to buff your opponent's creatures. It does feel like the one thing it kind of struggles is converting that into wins. Like Hallowed Haunting and Sigil of the Empty Throne are both reasonable win cons. Like the old Enchantress Style Decks and like Legacy and stuff will run, obviously they don't have access to it in this format, but Sarah's Sanctum and then play a 1 of Emrakul is kind of a way to go over the top of everything. Obviously we're doing things a little bit differently, a little bit more fair in Commander and Brawl. Not sure what adjustments I would make, honestly. It feels like you have answers to most things. It's just a matter of finding it. Maybe would try to find a way to make the deck a little bit faster at points. Not really sure what else we could really do to shore up some of those. Maybe have a Cavern of Souls is certainly something I've considered for the land base. The problem is a lot of your I mean, you can make your commander uncounterable, but you struggle with everything else. So maybe Cavern of Souls could fit somewhere in here, because the land base doesn't feel like it's too overly stretched in the colors. So maybe that's one card you can consider, along with Delayed Halfling, to make your commander uncounterable. I mean, card that would be really nice would be City of Solitude. Unfortunately, it's not in Brawl. It's a card I love to play against my lovely brother and all of his counterspell decks. I mean, you do have things like the 2-mana. There's a couple of 2-mana things that allow you to. Your opponents can't play Grand Arbiter and some such. City of Solitude would just play better because keeps your opponents from playing spells and I think activating abilities during your turn. And it's an enchantment, which would play nicely. I don't know that they'll ever unleash that card on Arena, but it is quite the hilarious card to make people play around. Obviously, you could add things like Veil of Summer and such. I think Veil of Summer is legal on Arena. Yep. I just absolutely hate losing Counterspell and blue decks in general. My hatred of that stems from too many Necropotence versus Stasis games. But, alas. Anyways, everybody want to thank everybody for hanging out. My lovely wife, my lovely brother, the new webcam that I'm still kind of tweaking the light dark nonsense on. My wonderful brother got me. So, hopefully things will continue to improve on the stream. And as always, I want to thank everybody for hanging out, and hope to see you for next week's stream. See ya.